Hello, Bobcats. Welcome back to a 4-day week here at the Helena Middle School, the second to last week of the 2015-2016 school year. Holy shamoly, how did that happen? That went quick. I hope everybody had an awesome Memorial weekend and is ready to come back and enjoy these last 4, 5, 6.5 days of the school year. We're going to continue here talking about Holland interest types. I'm going to introduce artistic and investigative today. These are two completely different interest types. So I'm hoping anyways that as you guys go through here, you start to recognize, ooh, that kind of fits me, or I could see that one lining up for me. And then what we end up doing is we narrow down all the careers there are out there into a certain grouping, so then we can start taking a closer look on it, exactly what it is we want to do for a career someday, which more closely translates to maybe what electives do you want to take here at Helena Middle School. But more importantly, what electives do you want to take at Helena High School? I was doing career cruising this week, some 6th graders, shout out to Miss Erickson, 6th graders, and talked about taking electives in these fields that you may be interested in to try it on. It's like going back to school shopping. You don't just grab a pair of pants and say, okay, this is my size, and put them in your shopping cart. You're going to want to go try them on and see if it fits. Well, it's kind of the same with careers and your own classes. You get to take electives, and we want to try those on before we graduate, because we all want to be graduating from high school with a pretty good idea of what we may want to do for a living. So let's get started on this. B.O.B Lesson 32, Artistic and Investigative Careers. Make it a great 4-day week, Bobcats. All right, B.O.B Lesson number 32, Artistic and Investigative Careers. But first, as always, let's be our best this week at the Helena Middle School. Let's be safe. Let's be responsible. Let's be respectful. And let's be a learner. All right, before I introduce these two interest types today, I'm going to bring you back to the hexagon here. If you'll notice, we have gone over the last couple weeks the top 3 on the upper left: enterprising, conventional, and realistic, and we're going to make our way down to the red and green today, which is investigative and artistic. And if you'll notice, investigative prefer to solve abstract problems involving science or engineering, math, related subjects. Investigative types are curious about the physics world and why and how it works. They enjoy intellectual challenges and original or unconventional attitudes. Artistic is just exactly what it sounds like. Prefer unstructured situations involving self-expressions of ideas and concepts through different artistic mediums such as art, music, theater, film, multimedia, or writing. And if you look at investigative, it's going to be a little different than enterprising. It's going to be on the opposite side. Investigative are a little bit more introverted sometimes. They're more deep thinkers. They usually work in labs and higher levels of education. And if you look at artistic, it's going to be opposite of realistic, opposite of conventional. Conventional are more black and white types, where my artistic people are all different shades of gray. And I'll talk about that metaphor a little bit more here coming up. All right, let's start with artistic career characteristic. Artistic people are creators who create things from their vision, from their imagination, from their intuition, from their perspective, etc. They're intuitive type people. Intuition is that gut feeling. I was doing some reading, Malcolm Gladwell book, and it really talked about how intuition is your subconscious mind connecting with your senses and kind of that sixth sense, if you will. I have a super strong intuition. Some people are like that, some people aren't. But that's really coming from somewhere that you can't really explain, you can't really see. Again, your unconscious mind that's taking little clippets of what your senses can see and filling in the blanks, and that's where that intuition or that gut feeling comes from. They're definitely non-conforming type people. They're innovative, they're creative, they're open-minded. They like to think outside the box. They like to draw outside the lines. They rely on feelings for a lot of their work and their motivation. If you think about musicians, musicians always sing their music from the heart and from their feeling and what's going on in their life, from their inspiration. They prefer to work with ideas, concepts, and abstractions, and from those ideas or those loose guidelines, that's where their artistic ability really flows and come from. Artistic people are unstructured. They like to live outside the box. These might not be people that live a 9-to-5 lifestyle. They might do their work at unconventional hours. If you'll remember on the investigative, or excuse me, I haven't done investigative yet, but on conventional, it was just black and white. And we have black and white here, but we have a bunch of different shades of gray. And really that's a metaphor for artistic type thinking. There's many shades of gray. There's many rights and wrongs. It is the opposite of right and wrong, up or down, right or left. With artistic types, there's a middle ground to play in. Let me give you an example of this. I just purchased a piece of art this spring from my friend that is an art teacher in Three Forks, and it was a huge canvas. It was really cool, and the person that he was making it for like absolutely did not like it, thought it needed a bunch more work, and basically didn't want it. He was going to give it to her, and she didn't like that piece of art. Well, I saw that and I was like, are you kidding me? Like, I will pay you money for that. That would look so awesome in my living room. And you know, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. That's what artistic types are all about. So, some common artistic careers. We have journalism. We have architecture. And architecture is going to be closely tied with investigative, I'm going to talk about here in a moment. Being a chef, being a dance choreographer, performer, being a fine artist. I have an example of that coming up from one of our students. A graphic designer, musician, photographer, web designer, writer, actor, actresses, model, fashion designer, cartoonist, art music therapist, sculptor, and there's probably many more careers out there that I am missing. One more point I'd like to make about artistic is there's lots of different types of art. There's performing art, there's art, there's musician art, which I guess would be performing art. There's all shades of gray, and there's all types of artistic careers out there. All right, I have an example here of some creative fine art. This was drawn by Miss Michaela Allen, who is an 8th grader, who this spring showed me some of her artwork, and I said I would love a piece to show on a Bob lesson. And this piece was actually in color and way cooler looking than what you can see on here. But this is an example of fine art. This is an example of amazing skill and talent, and I know there's many awesome artists out here. Shout out to Mr. Kepler and Miss Smith. I've seen some awesome students doing some awesome work in their classroom, but this would be an example of fantastic art. All right, we're going to move on to our 5th interest type, and our 5th interest type is going to be investigative. Investigative career characteristics. A lot of investigative careers require high levels of education, and they are more intellectual based. If you think about reality, I believe realistic, is on the opposite part of the spectrum from investigative. In realistic careers, you get paid more to work with your hands and skill in building things, and your body needs to be strong to hold up to the type of work you're doing. With investigative, 9 times out of 10, you're getting paid to use your brain and to problem solve. So they're introspective type careers where you have to really be deep thinking. They're inquisitive, where you're thinking, is there a better way to do this? Same with being curious. You're curious, is there a better way to do this or make this happen? They're very, very methodical. You follow steps. They're very rational, right and wrong. This is going back to black and white type careers where they're analytical, maybe running data and using math to come up with algorithms. They're logical, scholarly. I talked about high levels of education needed for a lot of investigative careers. A lot of science, a lot of technical. All medical careers are investigative because you're having to diagnose and come up with treatment plans and do research. A lot of deep thinking involved in investigative careers. Investigative type stuff, I just covered that. Exploration in your way of thinking, and a lot of research-based careers. So you can tell from this list of characteristics that investigative types are really deep thinkers, high levels of knowledge. I am not an investigative type. I am not smart enough, folks. That's okay, though. Sample investigative careers, anything to do with chemistry, engineering. There's all types of engineering out there that all fit under investigative. Being a dentist, being a dietitian, working on people's diets and helping them eat and drink water and be their best self. Finance, personal finance in the business world, and that one kind of, a lot of these cross over into different interest types. Being a lawyer, being a mathematician, being a nurse, pharmacist, physical therapist, even a psychologist, and even in counseling, you're problem solving a lot. Being a surgeon, being a veterinarian, being a zoologist, and of course being a physician or being a doctor. We talk about STEM. STEM is kind of a new topic that is out there lately, and I believe STEM stands for scientific, technology, engineering, and math careers. So those are all sample investigative careers. All right, our quote of the week is, it's a beautiful thing when a career and passion come together. And that's really my hope for all of you folks, is that we figure out what we're interested in, we figure out what we're passionate in, and we go out there and work on that in high school and explore a little bit in high school, make sure that's really what we want to do, work with your high school counselors, come up with a plan, go out there and execute it, because 62,400 hours is a lot of hours to be doing something that you are anything but passionate about. All right, our Jelly Bean question of the week winners are Mr. Michael Larac, Mr. Michael Coy, Spencer Nelson, and Braden Fisher. Come see me on your own time, before school, after school. Bring a friend for some jelly beans. This week's Jelly Bean question of the week, I've talked about 5 interest types now. To review, I've talked about realistic, conventional, artistic, investigative, and enterprising. Which one do you feel like is most suitable for you, and why? To be a winner, you're going to have to answer the why, which probably means you're going to have to throw in some characteristics or a sample career, which shows me or proves to me that you've been paying attention. Remember, these are all on youtube.com. If you go search Mr. Flato, you can find these. So if you need to go back and do some research, maybe remember what it was we went over again and the different characteristics, feel free to do that. All right, folks, we're in our second to last week of the school year. Let's finish every period every day, and let's finish this 4-day week strong. Make it a great week at the Helena Middle School.